All right. We back at it like a bad habit. This is Holden Prio, and I am trying to put out a bit more content as it relates to Ral Monsoon Mage, which, as someone who's been a brewer in Magic across lots of different formats since about 1999 or 2000, I've only recently jumped into cEDH around January of 23. But in that time, I have picked up the fundamentals of cEDH and then immediately started brewing. And from what I can tell, this list, this commander as an Izzet commander that is a mono red 2 mana commander that you can turbo out. It acts as a cost reducer in the command zone that also then has inevitability because as soon as you flip it on its sixth spell, on the backside, you would get loyalty equal to the number of instants or sorceries, aka Ral STORM, spells that you've cast this turn. You add that to its loyalty. So on the sixth spell, if you win the flip on the front side and you choose to flip it, it will flip over with 2 plus those 6 spells worth of loyalty, which is 8, and you can immediately alt. -8, exile the top 8 cards of your library. You may cast instant and sorcery spells from among them this turn without paying their mana cost. So it's pretty important to note that as far as commanders go, I see this as hands down the best Izzet commander. I don't think it's close. And then I know this is a bold claim, but I think there's a strong chance that this is also just the best turbo commander. Obviously, Rogsai has a lot of pros, but there's also a lot of cons to playing Rogsai as well. So here, I'm just focusing a little bit on what are some cards that we believe should be in the sideboard of this deck versus in the deck? Basically, what are the cards that are kind of the quote unquote auto includes that every list should be playing? So go through it pretty quick. Ragavan, auto include. This is a way to make early mana. It's very powerful and it's very cheap. Runaway Steamkin. We need engines in this deck that as you cast spells, they generate you mana the way that Bergie does. And Bergie is a great example of basically the best engine. What's nice about Runaway Steamkin and Tavern Scoundrel says whenever you win a flip, create 2 treasure tokens. Obviously, Ral, you flip cards. So essentially, if you have both these out and you cast a spell, you have a 50-50 chance of then making that spell be usually free because most of the spells in this deck cost 2 or less. Runaway Steamkin, essentially, you can think about this as every red spell you cast is worth a third of one of these activations, and each activation is worth 3 red mana. So therefore, as long as you're continuously having a density of red spells, which this deck is mostly red, we're a base red deck that is more of like a third blue or like 25% blue. As long as you're continuously casting red spells, you can think about this as every red spell also gives you a red mana, but it only happens, you're only able to unlock that mana once every 3 spells. So it's kind of like Bergie, slightly worse, but then again, less expensive. So that's also a reason why this is pretty powerful. Very important to note that this only triggers off red spells, whereas Bergie triggers off any spell, including artifacts and blue spells, etc. So these are all auto-include. Simian Spirit Guide, come on now. Mana Monkey, is it even a question that why all my spells smell like burnt hair lately? Isn't that what it says, if I remember correctly? Yeah, all my spells smell like burnt hair lately. Yep, the OG quote. So this is just free mana. You got to play it now. Stormkill Artist. I'm going to skip over Kitten for a second. Stormkill Artist auto include because it triggers off Magecraft. If this only triggered to give you treasures off of spells cast, I would really think about actually cutting this card, just because it costs 4 mana. And I know it's a powerful effect, but it's just so much for an engine sort of effect in this deck. And we are a 19 to 21 land deck, at least the way that I build it. What's insane about this is it triggers off Magecraft, which includes copies. So, and I do this all the time. This is a very powerful thing to do. You can put Stormkill Artist into play when all you have in hand is like a Flusterstorm and any free spell. Wait to go to somebody else's turn, let them build up some Storm, and then counter something that kind of doesn't matter. Get a trigger off Stormkill Artist, and then use that treasure to then cast a Flusterstorm on whatever else is on the stack, including your own spell. Obviously, we like to hold priority over here, so you could hold priority and trigger it onto your own spell, or cast it on your own spell, and then the Storm trigger goes off. So you get the treasure for the original Storm, and then you get a treasure for every single copy. So basically, you get treasures equal to Storm per turn, which is huge. Which means even if they then kill the Storm Killer Artist, which is what happened in a recent game in a tournament I played, they didn't kill it, they Gilded Draped it, but it didn't matter. I'd already Storm to make 8 treasures or 10 treasures, and then we went to my turn, and I untapped with 10 treasures. So even if they kill your Ral, whatever, doesn't matter. You just go to your turn, recast the Ral, pop off from there. Really, really powerful effect, not cuttable. Treasonous Ogre, I wasn't playing in my original version of the deck, and a huge shout out to D-Mage. He's one of the people who has played a lot of games on this deck and has been really working on it with me and a lot of the others in the Discord server. He was really the one that basically pushed me to play this in the deck. And yeah, red channel is broken. The reason why I wasn't on it previously is because anything that's a permanent in this deck is a liability, because of the way that the alt for Ral works. It only exiles the top 8 instants or sorceries off the top of your deck, and so those other cards get permanently exiled, which can be a liability sometimes. But in this situation, it's the opposite, because unlike Breach, which is like a payoff or finisher that you would want to hit after you ult, Troger is the sort of card that you would want to use before you ult. It's a way to dump a bunch of life into mana and then like wheel, etc. Speaking of wheels, that's another reason why I'm on Troger now, is because we have 4 wheels in the deck now. So I'm on Slimer's Feast, aka Windfall. I'm on Twister, I'm on Wheel of Fortune, and I'm on Echo of Eons. So because we have 4 wheels, it really means that we have lots of opportunities to dump and refill our hand and just kind of do the essentially like the legacy combo storm sort of lines, where you're just going like LED Echo and just like restarting the game over and over and trying to build a little bit of advantage, casting a Lotus Petal or exiling a Spirit Guide and then wheeling again, and you build advantage while other people don't, and you randomize their hands. Well, what's really good with that? Well, when you have not unlimited, but a lot of additional mana in play off your Troger. So this one, I don't actually see it in play a lot. I haven't used it a lot, but the times where it has come up, it's been extremely powerful. So we keep this one for sure. Pinnacle Monk, this is actually just land that has some pretty awesome upside, where it's an Archaeomancer effect. It also has prowess, which basically never comes up, but it's an Archaeomancer effect where it hits the battlefield and then you can buy back an instant associated yard. So as far as cuttable creatures here, I've already cut all the ones that I believe are cuttable, except Displacer Kitten. So for me, Displacer Kitten is one that is always in my mind to be on the chopping block. It's powerful enough that I'm keeping it. Obviously, when you flip a Ral and you ult it, if it still has loyalty left, like let's say you cast 7 spells instead of 6, now it has 1 loyalty left, when you -8 it from 9. It kind of sucks, because sometimes you want to cast a spell, or sometimes you want to put Ral back into plan. What's beautiful about flipping it on 6 spells is that when you ult it, it dies, goes back to the command zone, you make mana, you recast it, you keep going off. It's like a built-in loop. Well, if you get stuck with extra loyalty, Displacer Kitten is pretty amazing when it's in play, because you cast a spell, then you just flicker Ral, and when it ETBs, it comes back as the front side. So that's a powerful little combo, quote unquote, if you will. Also, there's just Displacer Kitten things, right? Like, you could just have Displacer Kitten plus any of our mana rocks that are positive mana, like Soul Ring, Mox Amber, Mox Opal, Mana Vault, Arcane Signet, or Talisman, and it's very powerful there. There's also some weird lines where Displacer Kitten plus Pinnacle Monk means that you can flicker to ETB and buy back things out of your graveyard over and over again. So like if you have a Born Upon a Wind, you can, like, let's say someone has protection with the One Ring, you can Brain Freeze down the rest of the table and kill everybody and Grape Shot them or whatever, except for the person with ring protection. You can just build up a perfect hand, sculpt it the way you want, and then have treasures, etc., go to that person's upkeep, and on their upkeep, now that they don't have ring protection, you can cast a spell to flicker the Pinnacle Monk to buy back the Born Upon a Wind, recast the Born Upon a Wind to flicker the Pinnacle Monk to buy back the Brain Freeze, and you can just keep doing this and like buy back rituals, etc. So you kind of create your own little loop with these 2 cards in play. It's not very often that these are both in play. This one costs 4, this one costs 5. This is not common, but it's important to note about that line. For the sake of this video not going too long, we'll keep it at just the creature suite for now. In the next video, I will go over and start to cover the sorceries, which is a big chunk